Former governor of New York, in at least his word about religious freedom. There's a debate going on now in California, Lee.
That's right, Pat. A number of California charities recently lost their federal food donations. The reason? State officials informed soup kitchens throughout California they could no longer pray or hold chapel services at homeless shelters that were receiving USDA food. CBN News reporter Kim Farrell says some religiously based charities are fighting back.
It's chapel time at the Bay Area Rescue Mission in San Francisco. What you have here is a group of people who are being forced to attend services and pray before dinner. At least that's what the California Department of Social Services says. Now take a closer look. Does this look like a group of people that's being forced to worship because they have to or because they want to? The smiles tell the story. The Bay Area Rescue Mission is one of 7 California charities taking a stand against the State Department of Social Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture over their prayer and chapel service requirements. The shelter is one of 164 designated soup kitchens throughout the state that received this memo informing them to drop the so-called mandatory prayer and chapel services or lose the shelter's federal food donations. Malcolm Lee heads the Bay Area Soup Kitchen.
This is a ministry. This isn't just a social service activity. And being a minister, we must bring them not only bread, but the bread of life.
Are you making these people pray and get religion? Are you forcing it down their throat?
You can't do that. You know, freely we have received, freely we give. And they have to receive freely as well, and there's no forcing anything.
But the Department of Social Services doesn't see it that way. Bill Schmidt runs the State Emergency Food Assistance Program for the state of California.
Well, it's forcing people under any condition to have to do something in order to receive food that has been made available to them at no cost and should have no strings attached.
The government says it should be available to you
without any strings. Whether they're political strings or union message strings or religious strings is what they're saying.
The Bay Area Rescue Mission's decision to stick with their daily chapel services means they'll lose up to 17,300 pounds of USDA food this year alone. Meanwhile, they're still serving 450 meals a day. For more than 3 decades, religiously based charities like the Rescue Mission have been receiving USDA canned meats and vegetables, rice, and other commodities without any stipulations. The program was originally administered under the Department of Education's free lunch program, but under the new Federal Welfare Reform Act, that all changed. Soup kitchens are now called congregate feeding agencies, which fall under the Department of Social Services, and that means regulations.
If you're willing to change the way you do things, we can help you, but you must be ready to change the way you run your operation.
State officials want the soup kitchens to make prayer optional, but Lee says that's non-negotiable. Can't you just feed them and send them on their way?
We could, but they'd be lost. They'd be without God and without hope in this world. Their problems would continue just exactly as they were.
The staff believes that prayer is the key to the mission's success. 80 to 85% of the people who go through the mission's recovery program find jobs and remain drug-free. There are people like Robert Thomas.
I just came for 3 hots and a cot. That's all I came for. But when I came here, I found something better than something to eat. There had to be a spiritual awakening in my life. Because if it had not been maybe for this place, I don't think I'd be here today. I might be dead somewhere.
That was 8 years ago, and today Robert's a new man. He's got a family and a job on staff here at the soup kitchen.
The Bible says that God will restore the thing that the cankerworms has eaten up, and he had done that for me.
Lee estimates their decision to abandon the USDA food program amounts to $142,000 in annual losses. The mission is turning to private donors to make up the difference. But in terms of the big picture, Lee says that's a small price to pay.
If the government can help us, it's wonderful. But our effectiveness with people is the bottom line. And if we're not effective, why would we be here? You know, there's no reason for our existence if we can't see bona fide change in people's lives.
Kim Farrell, CBN News.
Now, outraged taxpayers in the Bay Area are taking action. The rescue mission has mailed letters to local businesses and individuals asking for help, and the community is responding. In fact, the Chevron Corporation is pledging to collect 50,000 pounds of food this year. That's double their annual gift. Pat, I like what Reverend Lee had to say. He says, you know, they come looking for bread, and we give them bread and the bread of life.
Well, you know, I was up at the Bowery Mission. Dee Dee and I were actually serving food to the poor up there as they were coming through. And prior to the food, there was a chapel service. I don't know that it was compulsory. I don't think it was, but most of the people attended. But they told me, I said, what's the problem? He said, well, the problem we encounter is the welfare department of the state of New York. I said, what's that? He said, well, they distribute, if you can believe this, ladies and gentlemen, and this I got from the man who was supposed to know, he said they distribute about $100 million every year in direct cash assistance to people who are alcoholics and drug addicts. They don't have to do anything except go to one of those little kiosk areas that you see in New York, the check cashing organizations. They have a little voucher, and every 2 weeks they present their voucher and they get $140, $50 or whatever, no strings attached. They immediately go out and they buy drugs, they buy booze, they get their cycle all over again, they get strung out for a couple of weeks and they go back with another voucher and they hit it again. $100 million, no supervision, no demands, nothing. Now, if that's the government way of helping welfare, there's something radically wrong with it. These people need to be given hope and a new life. And for the government to tell a private charity how it could work. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need this Religious Freedom Amendment. You see, in the Religious Freedom Amendment, this nonsense that the USDA is trying to pull couldn't happen, because it says basically you cannot discriminate against people in the distribution of benefits because of their faith. You know, you can't say, well, okay, we'll only give to secular, because what that is a government subsidy of secular and a government deprivation of spiritual, whatever spiritual it is, you know? And it's wrong, because the taxpayers are paying for all of it, and they're religious taxpayers as well as irreligious. But so this means the government is favoring secular over sacred, but using the taxpayer money of the sacred to pay for it. That's wrong, and that's why we need an amendment, because if this is the kind of thing that these departments are going to start doing, then there needs to be a change. So again, we urge you in these next few days, that vote's coming up in the House of Representatives. It is a major thing, 4th of June, the Religious Freedom Amendment of the Constitution, and we need a massive vote in the House of Representatives to let everybody know. There's the number, the U.S. House. Please call your congressman. Say, I am in favor of the Religious Freedom Amendment to the Constitution. 1-202-224-3121. We'll keep showing you these things that are happening, but this is just a tip of the iceberg of what there is going on all over the country as our government is pushing secularism and ungodliness over religious faith and godliness. And they shouldn't do that with my money, because believe me, I'm contributing to the salaries of a number of them. Terry?
Or mine.
And yours.
Or yours. That's right. Or yours.
Or yours. That's right.
No, we talked about it earlier. Pat mentioned it at the beginning.